Keep chasing the same old, never been the same old. Just a whistle, say you know when it's coming for you. My little just a whistle, say you know when it's coming for you. Just a whistle, it's coming for you. My little women.
Well, I hope that you see, remember, Israel can still keep the military pressure on. Their airport actually targeted on Hamas weapon site in southern Syria, of all things. So that option is there. But I am hopeful that we'll get to phase two. That's where the rest of the hostages would be released. And then on to phase three. That's the reconstruction that President Trump talks about.
Let me ask you about that reconstruction because I think, as an observer, listen, anybody who wants to help make things better for the poor people who have lived in this war-torn zone for so long, I would think, on balance, it's a very good thing. I'm curious about what you're hearing with respect to other leaders in the region and whether or not they will buy in and perhaps help the U.S. make things better for the people of Gaza.
Well, Kevin, that's exactly the point, and I think that's why President Trump has stepped up so smartly and said the U.S. will be heavily involved, even taking over Gaza, because he wants Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and the others to step up as well. Now, we're going to want to be quiet about it, but that's the hope, and then that there could be, an economic solution in Gaza that will give more of a permanent peace. But again, none of that is actually going to start until terms until we get to phase three with a permanent ceasefire and Israeli forces there sitting in Gaza and all that.
Yeah, also long way to go. Let me follow up on that. By the way, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I think people underestimate the support from, say, King Abdullah, for example, who's been instrumental in helping to keep things peaceful, relatively speaking, in the region. I do think Saudi Arabia as well will play a major part in making this happen if, of course, we can get to phase three and beyond. But I'm going to ask you, broadly speaking, Dr. Grant, what you think of the president's idea. I know it's a pipe dream for now, but it seems as good or as plausible as anything else I've heard for you. What do you think?
I liked it. President Trump wants peace in the Middle East, and he's given Gaza some hope. And you're right to call out King Abdullah, who will be coming to the White House in a couple days. He's been a very important ally. Abdullah flew on an airdrop mission where he was airdropped into Gaza last year. So President Trump will really need to help with people like King Abdullah and other staunch friends in the region because we know Hamas cannot run Gaza, Palestinian Authority cannot run Gaza, and we've got to have peace in the Middle East. Trump can get it. He's on the right track.
Yeah, no question about that. And he has, King Abdullah's been really instrumental in making things better for so many. Lastly, I just want to get your take on tariffs, reciprocal tariffs we've been hearing a lot about. In the last 20 seconds or so, will India be able to avoid being hit tariff for tariff?
Tariffs, Trump's favorite foreign policy, and I think that's why PM Modi may come and visit before the tariffs, because we do have a trade deficit with India, but we want India to help us with China. They're a great security partner. And by the way, India banned TikTok 5 years ago, and it went just fine. So I think Modi and Trump will have a lot to talk about when they meet.
Yeah, I know the two men are friends, and I imagine the Prime Minister may do something over in Texas again. I was lucky enough to go down to see the event in Houston, and it was really remarkable. Dr. Rebecca Grant, thank you so much for your time today. We certainly appreciate you.
Thank you.
And then there was more, as in more snow At least that's what forecasters are saying about parts of the Northeast. Meantime, down in the Big Easy, well, fans there should expect fairly nice weather for their pre-Super Bowl activities. Our weather meteorologist Adam Klotz is here with the forecast. My man, I know. You're dealing with cold and snow. Matt Finn's over there in a t-shirt. What gives?
I know abnormally warm weather there for Matt Finn. And all the folks there across the south, you can see those temperatures climbing up in the middle 70s or so. Inside northern tier where temperatures are quite a bit warmer. 72 degrees is ultimately going to be the temperature right now in New Orleans over the course of the day as you get into the evening. This is absolutely beautiful game time weather. Otherwise completely clear across the country. What we are going to see in the week ahead is more of that snow you're ultimately talking about. Excuse me, a little bit of frog in my throat. 15 million folks will be seeing snow up to 6 inches. And this is going to be a major system. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here.
That's all right.
Yeah,
That's all right. I'll just take it back. It's all good. I know you're working hard. Stay healthy, my friend. We'll touch base with you again a little bit later. Adam Klotz for us. Meantime, warmer weather and spring break, well, frankly, it's on the minds of many Americans. However, some parts of Mexico that are fairly popular among American tourists may be much, much more dangerous than you realize. Ted Williams has a litter. I'm Kevin Corkin for John Scott. President Trump facing new challenges to his foreign policy initiatives, both here at home and abroad. Correspondent Caroline Shively has more on that from here in the nation's capital.
While President Trump is making moves to shut down the U.S. Agency for International Development, he's not withdrawing from the world stage. Now some of his plans are getting pushback from Greenland to Iran to Panama. NATO countries have informally discussed sending troops to Greenland after Mr. Trump threatened to use the U.S. military.
Want to earn cryptocurrency? Try Coinbase. Coinbase simplifies buying.
Everybody be asking me, man, does the Bluetooth actually work? Bro.
It's a world where we can no longer take much for granted, including the rules and norms that were built over the past 70 years.
Panama's president denied State Department claims they reached a deal that would let U.S. warships pass through the Panama Canal.
Hey, Connie, how you doing?
It is based on a falsehood, at least in my book. Bilateral relations between two countries, friends and partners throughout history are not handled that way.
I find it absurd that we would have to pay fees to transit a zone that we are obligated to protect in a time of conflict.
And on Friday, Iran's supreme leader said his country should not have nuclear talks with the U.S., as suggested by President Trump, calling the idea not intelligent, wise, or honorable. But it's not all pushback. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praising President Trump's proposal for Israel in the Gaza Strip on Capitol Hill Friday.
We agreed on many things, but I think it sets the tone for this great new strengthening of the American-Israeli alliance.
Meanwhile, a summit between Mr. Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin may be just weeks away. The Kremlin says it could happen in February or March. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Or so I hear at Danger.
Thank you, Caroline. Meantime, here are some of the headlines around the globe at this hour. In Germany, tens of thousands of demonstrators rallying today against the far-right anti-immigration party ahead of a general election which is coming up in a couple of weeks. The Alternative for Germany is currently polling in second place there. In China, more than 30 people missing and feared buried in a landslide in the southwestern...
Guest services. Can I help you, sir?
Very heavy rains there. Search and rescue crews working to find survivors.
Excellent. It's on its way.
Pope Francis presiding over an outdoor Jubilee Mass for armed services and police today. His first public appearance since coming down with bronchitis on Thursday. However, after just a few words, the Holy Pontiff handed off his homily to an aide to read, saying he was having trouble breathing. In Brazil, rehearsals are on full blast for the Rio de Janeiro Carnival. It's coming up in 3 weeks. Samba schools fine-tuning their balance. For the big celebration, it is something, let me tell you. And that's a look at some of the top stories around the globe at this Saturday. Meantime, much of the country, as you know, may still be covered in snow, but there are some people already looking ahead to spring break. However, a State Department travel advisory may have some would-be tourists rethinking their plans about a Mexican getaway. That advisory, which is at a level 4, do not travel, covers 6 states south of the border, including Tamaulipas, which has made headlines in the past as being a hotspot for would-be kidnappers. Here for some tips on how to stay safe is former DC homicide detective Ted Williams. He is also a Fox News contributor. Great to see you, my good friend. And this is an interesting story we get a chance to talk about. Instead of murder and mayhem, we get a chance to talk about keeping people happy if they choose to go south of the border on vacation. I want to begin with a graphic that we have for you. It's some of the things to look out for while on spring break. Walk me through it and why these are the big ones for you, Ted.
Good to be with you, and I got to tell you that spring break is something that we know that annually takes place with young people in this country that go out of the country. And we're always deeply concerned about the young people, and we're definitely concerned this time of the year and this year. But there are, as you said, things that these young people can do and they should do, and there are things that they shouldn't do. Like there's scandals and pickpockets. They should always be aware of their surroundings. There are always scandals and pickpockets out there. If someone make an offer to you that seems to be too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
You know, you told me that, by the way. On many occasions, you're like, Kevin, I know you're a nice guy. If it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. There was one in that list I did want to make sure we highlighted before we talk about your safety tips, Ted, and that is, you said, be careful when people offer you homemade food and drink. Tell me why that's so important.
That's always significant because you don't really know what's in the food or drink. And there's always someone, unfortunately, trying to slip individuals a Mickey and take advantage of them. So they should always be aware of their food and drink and make sure that they get stuff that is covered by a hotel or a restaurant and not something that's just out there on the streets.
Yeah, and that ties perfectly into your spring break safety tips, Ted. One of the first things you tell everybody is don't leave your food and drinks unattended. If you're going to travel abroad, be smart. Travel with at least one other person, and do not get in a stranger's vehicle. I can't stress that enough. I can tell you that from personal experience. Leave your valuables at home, and call a friend or family member every day. I love that tip, Ted. Tell me why that is so important to you, this idea of making sure you're checking in with friends or family on a regular basis.
You know, Kevin, one of the things is you want to enjoy yourself simply when you're out of the country on spring break, but you must stay in touch with family members or friends. They need to know where you're at all times. It is very significant. Kevin, unfortunately, we're living in a very dangerous time. And spring breakers need to take as many and all precautions as they possibly can. And staying in some touch with a family member or friend is very, very important for their own safety and well-being.
I'm so glad you said that, and I cannot stress that enough. It's important. We got about 20 seconds or so, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I will. Is it too dangerous right now, Ted, to travel to Mexico in your opinion?
I think it's definitely too dangerous. The political climate between the United States and Mexico right now is not in the best shape. I would urge people not to travel to Mexico at this immediate time. And by the way, Kevin, the New Orleans Saints are going to win the Super Bowl tonight. I'm from Lake Charles, Louisiana. I know that, and you know it, Kevin.
The Saints ain't even playing. Saints ain't even playing. But the Saints ain't even playing. Tell me the Saints ain't playing. Tell me the Saints ain't playing.
Don't say Kansas City or
Boy, that nigga, that gone. That nigga gone. That nigga gone. That nigga gone.
I'm sitting down with our very own Brett Baer for an exclusive interview ahead of the Super Bowl. We're going to bring you all the highlights next. President Trump makes time making waves this weekend ahead of attending the big game, becoming the first commander-in-chief to do so. He spoke with our Fox News chief political anchor, Brett Baer, for an interview as part of our Fox pre-game coverage. Let's bring in Fox News contributor and media analyst Joe Concha. Joe, I know you've seen some of the clips, you've seen some of the previews. What's this like, especially if you're Brett? I mean, I know it's a tough stage. He makes it